Good evening. My name is the guy from Silencer, and I'm talking about the new Vampiric Rites record. And if you can't tell, that's a W, not two V's, because these are the Vampire boys from Ecuador, and we're getting super cult up in this motherfucker. So let's go. 2019, Vampiric Rites comes onto the scene and drops their very first Demo 1. Now, back in the old days, you released something called Demo 1. That meant we're still honing our sound. We paid a fuck ton of money to go into some studio, all the money we had, and we came out with this yet. We're not ready to submit it to a label because it's still in the works, but fuck, man, we spent a lot of money and we're kind of proud of this thing. So why not dub it onto a cassette tape and send it out to tape trading circles and get a little buzz going about our fucking metal band. It's different in 2020, 2022, 23, whatever we're in right now. It's different in these days because you can record any fucking demo that sounds probably better than most old school demos on your shitty MacBook. The deal is, though, I think what Vampiric Rites is doing correctly that a lot of other new bands don't get is it's not a tradition to call something Demo 1 and just put out your first record. You're here to put out Demo 1 to show the progression of the band. And it's been really satisfying watching Vampiric Rites progress and evolve their sound through Demos 1 through 5 as we, the listener, get to sort of appreciate how they're coming into their own sound. Now, there's shades of other shit in there, man. There's shades of Finnish black metal a little bit. There's big shades of French shit, and there's Dark Throne-ish shit going on there too. But for me, as this band has started to come into their own, what we've started to see is the evolution to just something a little bit more, and that's what I'm about here, man. It doesn't have to be vastly different. It doesn't have to be fucking jerk-off fucking post-black metal stuff. Just give me a little something different, a little something new. And Vampiric Rites has been doing that with just about every release since the demo cycle. Starting for me with Melancholy Howls of the Vampire, I believe it was called. And I think for a lot of people, that was the record where they started to like maybe pay attention. It came out on Inferno Profundus. And they kind of rolled it out in sort of a way that made you stop and take notice. The album artwork was super cool, but not the coolest one, man. Because the coolest one is by far Reflections of a Frostbitten Moon, which was like some sort of compilation. But the photo of the singer, I guess, Vampiric Strigoi with the W, keeping it cult, looks to me like the newest fucking mumble rap record just dropped, and he's like, yeah, it's one of my favorite black metal covers of all time. Makes me laugh a little bit, but it's also cool as fuck, and it's earned the back patch spot on my trendy fucking battle vest by itself with no other bands because it's that weird and cool. I had to bootleg it though because they never made shirts of it, so I paid some fucking t-shirt company to make me one. I cut it off and glued it onto the back, so I don't know if that's super cult or super poser shit, but I did it and I'm here to admit it to you right now. Anyway, where the fuck am I going? This new Vampiric Rites record kind of comes at you in a very different way than some of their other stuff. And as I said, the band's been evolving for some time now, so I appreciate this. But there was a point in the band's history where we heard that they had lost the guitar player, Vrolok, rest in peace. And at that point, I said to myself, well, we're kind of about to see who was driving the ship here and, you know, what the sound, you know, direction, who was sort of like evolving that, right? Was it the guitar player writing the riffs? Is it Vampiric Strigoi doing all the lyric writing and shit? Is he the one writing the stuff? And if I remember correctly, man, what they came out with directly after the death of Vrolok was a split with Vampirska. Super, super fucking cool band as well. Fuck with them if you can. But they came out with this, and I think it was like the Tyranny of Existence or the Agony of Existence or something like that. It was like just 2 tracks on a split with Vampirska, and to my ears, I heard a very noticeable change. Now, I don't know if the songs on this split were written prior to Vrolok's passing or not, But I listened to it and it felt like Merciful Fate-ish kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like there was this bass line that was kind of like, I don't know, man. It felt very old school heavy metal in a good way. And I started like feeling like Vampiric Rites had evolved out of what to me sounded a lot like sort of just pounding blast beats, a little bit more stereotypical kind of stuff. And I started to think like, man, this band is starting to incorporate really, really fucking cool elements into their music. And that trend has continued to the point where Vampiric Rites demos, to me, often sound a little bit meandering. They often sound a little bit sort of, God, it's going on a little bit too long. It's the same riffish kind of stuff. But after that release, and the full length that I mentioned earlier, things started evolving. And here we are with their 2022 release. And like I said, these motherfuckers release a record every 5 days. Strangely enough, all quality shit. I've never picked up a Vampiric Rites release and been disappointed, and that says a lot. If you go on their metal archives, you're just fucking scrolling for days, man. But the new record that I'm talking about here is out on, once again, I swear to God, I'm not shilling for these guys, the mighty Signal Rex. But this band releases so many albums that they just can't even be contained on one single label, man. They release too much shit. But this one came out on Signal Rex, and it's called The Wolves Howl at Night. Now, I looked at the album cover of this, and I don't know what it is, man, but I got a thing against werewolves, apparently. I was picking on the Satanic War Master album cover, and I saw this cover, and I went, I don't like it. Plus, nothing beats the, yeah, boy, fucking cover from Reflections of a Frostbit Moon. I'm telling you, that is one of the best black metal covers of all time. It's not high contrast black and whitey enough to be like the stereotypical traditional stuff, but it's just got this like vibe to it, man. I don't know, maybe I'm the only person that finds it to be both satisfying and kind of funny at the same time. Anyway, I see the cover for this and I'm like, well, it's got a werewolf on it. I don't fucking like that, especially since it's Vampiric Rites, right? So my other question is, if Vampiric Rites writes a record about wolves, why doesn't wolf start with a V? Because that would be super called as fuck. Like, you know what I mean? Vampiric Rites with werewolves and shit, that's how it should be. So I'm going to go ahead and deduct 10 cult points from Vampiric Rites for not spelling wolves with a V. Fuck, I'm confusing myself. Let me talk about this record, man. So, The Wolves Howl at Night is essentially 4 tracks and a little break in the middle, like a little like sort of subsection of this record with some acoustic guitars. And, you know, for my money, Vampiric Rites has really done probably the most varied record of their career. But it all has this element of theme and variation, and it really like comes full circle at the end. But as the album progresses, you start to have in each and every song some incredibly fucking memorable parts. Like on the demo shit, you're hearing lots of like stuff that it's good, but it just kind of blends all completely in together. This record has a really interesting flow, and I would say Vampiric Rites takes their time a little bit more. There's a lot more like long instrumental sections that actually have more of a meaningful sort of progression than just the same eternal riff over and over and over again for long periods of time. That sort of trend that we see a lot, they're kind of deviating from that. And they're maybe taking a riff and varying it and adding things. And then some vocals come in after, you know, a couple minutes, especially on the second song on this record. More of an instrumental track. But it kind of paints this picture of, you know, to me, which is like, you know, that fucking Dracula quote, you know, creatures of the night, what sweet music they make or whatever. That's like, this record is that. And so for some of you that don't like theatrics, I mean, I obviously am on board with it because I chopped my hands off and re-sewed pig hooves on. For those of you that don't like theatrics, though, you might not like this record as much because it starts out with the sounds of vampire bats fucking flying through the sky and chirp, chirp, chirping. And that trend does not stop. There was a point on this record where I was like, Did I just fucking hear a chimpanzee or some weird fucking bird that I'm not aware of? Probably a bird that I'm not aware of. But there's a lot of like sound effects. I don't say sound clips, but like sound effects integrated directly into the music. And that might be a sticking point. And it almost was for me, because on the third track, The Wolves Howl at Night, which is probably the best song on this record. I mean, you know, when a band names their album title after the song or vice versa, you kind of know that they want you to stop and take notice of this song. And at the end of the day, I think it is the best track. Now, the last track, which I think is called Held Captive in a Desolate Castle, I'm probably getting it wrong. You got fucking Google. I'm not here for that. That song's also pretty fucking cool and maybe tied for my favorite. But let's go ahead for now, for the sake of conversation, say my favorite song is The Wolves Howl at Night, the title track. It took me a bit with that song, because as I'm listening to it, and you know, I'd heard the vampire bats, I'd heard the chimpanzees cracking in the earlier part of the record, and then these acoustic guitars come in. You got bells chiming, and you're going in a really, really theatrical, melodramatic way. I would say melodramatic is a good sort of a word to use with this record. Now, I did see someone in the comments of the actual album on YouTube. I have this on physical, by the way, but you can listen on YouTube. Say, like, I don't like cheese in my black metal. And I'm like, you don't like cheese in your black metal? Well, what fucking bands do you listen to? Name me one that you fucking listen to. You out here listening to fucking Sunbather or some shit? Like, I don't know what, this is probably like, I don't understand this fucking statement. I'm sorry, let's look at the foundations of this entire genre. I'm a great example. You don't like cheese in your black metal? Get the fuck out of here, man. I like cheese in my black metal. But these sound clips are a little bit hard to get used to, so listen to this record. The Wolves Howl at Night comes on, and I'm getting into it, and all of a sudden I hear, now my mind is not expecting the actual like sound of wolves howling, and if it is, my mind is expecting the traditional wolf howling, you know, like the one that sounds like this. Right? That's what, you know, the stereotypical movie wolf. Well, this record transitions into and integrates wolves howling, actual wolves howling, into the song, and it was very jarring, because at first I just thought it was somebody giving the most half-hearted, like some fucking Mons Veneris shit, some, you know, or some fucking silencer shit, you know? But, it kind of threw me off. I was like, that sounds kind of fucking goofy, man. I don't know about that. I don't know how I feel about that, right? But I made it through, and I'm listening, and then it comes back again. The song stops, and you got more howls. And this time, whatever wolf they got to howl on this record was kind of a pussy wolf, man. He's just, I don't know, man. So, you know, so I had a little trouble getting over that at first. But the song is so fucking good, man. I mean, maybe one of the best Vampiric Rites songs ever. I'm a fan of Eternal Melancholy of the Vampire, Tyrant's Blood. Good song. A lot of good tracks on that record. But I don't know, man. The Wolves Howl at Night might be one of the best, if not the best, Vampiric Rites songs, because not only does it have the fucking straightforward approach from Vampiric Rites, has great vocals, but it also has some sections that have absolutely memorable riffs that you will think, I want to hear that riff again and return to this record. And that, for a band like Vampiric Rites to achieve both of those things, where you get the solid, full album experience with memorable riffs, is to me a mark of sort of where this band is at. And like I said, the current cycle of Vampiric Rites is the best cycle of Vampiric Rites. This is their pinnacle right now. I don't know if they're going to surpass this. I mean, they've only got, 60 albums out at this point, so who knows what they've got in store, but this is really fucking good, man. So this song took me a little bit to get used to because those wolf howls are a little bit jarring. Now, upon subsequent listens, I don't think I want a record like this without the fucking theatrics. I ended up deciding that the wolf howls and all of the fucking theatrical shit and the chimpanzee or whatever it was, the sounds of night, the creatures of the night, goes right along with all the elements that makes Vampiric Rites fucking cool, man. Including, and especially featured on the final track, some really shitty sounding synth notes, right? Like someone's playing the fucking keyboards. And I don't mean shitty like it's played shitty. I mean like the tone that they chose, the sound that they chose to integrate in is shitty in a good way. By that I mean they didn't try to get an accurate pipe organ sound. They didn't try to get some sort of accurate chamber music bullshit. They went back to the roots of black metal and they said, you know, a lot of the old synths on some of the real classic stuff were people working with whatever little Casio piece of shit their grandma had in the fucking cupboard. And we're going to keep that because you listen to the guitars on this. You listen to the instrumentation. Vampiric Rites are pretty fucking proficient at their instruments. So it's not like these guys didn't know how to get a good sound or didn't know how to capture a good sound, but I feel like they really chose an artificial, warbly kind of tone for the synth because it is part of what we know now is that Vampiric Rites understands black metal in terms of why certain things sound the way that they do, and they're here to honor that. Just like with their demo cycle, they realize that it's not about just calling your first record Demo 1 so that you can be cult or you can be black metal. It's about letting people see your evolution. They also understand that part of the charm of what is black metal and what makes it cool is that people are working with what they have. So they did kind of accurately recreate some of the old school sounds. This is a band that to me seems very special, man, because everything they do feels authentic. Everything they do feels like it's got the right intent behind it. And it just feels incredibly, you know, refreshing to see a band that does something that is in the traditions of black metal and seems to understand the why behind it. I think this record's incredible. It's not my favorite. I'm gonna say that my favorite is Eternal Melancholy of the Vampire. To me, that might be their magnum opus. I don't know. I think this band has a lot of fucking runway ahead of it, clearly. They've been together 3, 4, whatever years, and they're still going strong. Hopefully they don't burn out. I'll say one other thing about Vampiric Rites, man. I watched a live video of this band, and I thought to myself, okay, I don't know shit about Ecuador. I don't know how they do shit over there. I don't know nothing about this band. There aren't too many photos other than, yeah, my favorite photo. Let's hope they do their stage performance right. They do the fucking Vampiric Rites stage show exactly as it needs to be done. And by that, I'm talking real super intricate, cool looking, shiny ass vampire robes, face paint, and motherfuckers with their guitars higher than Norma Jean, fucking tremolo picking their asses off. Nobody's moving. Fucking Vampiric Strigoi got his back to the fucking audience. Then he turns around and he doesn't hardly move at all. And he just shrieks and he shrieks and he shrieks his fucking balls off, proving that he can also do it live, which is a big important thing when it comes to some of these bands because they're drenched in reverb, they're hidden in the back, but nah, he's fucking got it. Go Google it, man. It's on fucking YouTube right now. The performance was perfect. This band clearly understands what is needed if you're going to be in this sort of like melodramatic, sort of very operatic, theatrical sort of track for black metal. I can't say enough good things about this band. This record is definitely worth your purchase. Again, you got a cool like red vinyl version over on Signal Rex. The Kings bringing us all the raw black metal. There's also the black version, which you'll probably get because you're a fucking poser and you're not as cult as me. But I don't know. I could say that I recommend just about every recording from Vampiric Rites. Highlights for me, once again, Eternal Melancholy of the Vampire, Reflections of a Frost-Bitten Moon. Yeah, that fucking record. And I would say the Vampiric Rites split for me is incredibly special. But you can't go wrong picking up anything from this band, specifically this new record. Like I said, they already got 2 more fucking releases out. I don't know if they're fucking splits on like digital or I can get them. I don't have them yet. But worth your time. And if I'm giving this a rating, well, I only have one picture and it's a candelabra with 3 flames. So I guess it gets 3 out of 3 flames. The Vampire Boys have not done us wrong yet. And I look forward to what they're going to do in the future, man. For now, that's all I got. Guy from Silencer saying